It's been a big 200 years for the New South Wales Legislative Council, which in 2024 celebrates 2 centuries since its establishment as Australia's very first legislature. This is the story of the Council's incredible journey and the ongoing evolution of parliamentary democracy right here in New South Wales. It all began in 1823 with the spark that lit the fuse, an act of the British Parliament called the New South Wales Act. The Act would allow for the first Legislative Council, a group of 5 appointed members who would serve as advisors to the Governor. Until then, the power to make laws in the colony sat solely with him. The Council held its first meeting at Government House in August 1824 and passed its first Act, the Currency Act, in September that year. That first council looked a lot different to ours today, but its birth signalled the beginning of a check on executive power in New South Wales. A few years later, in 1829, the council moved to a new home, a humble room in the Rum Hospital on Macquarie Street in Sydney. In the decades to come, the hospital was transformed into what we now know as Parliament House, and the council would eventually have a dedicated chamber. It wasn't long until people in the colony pushed for a more representative council, one that included elected as well as appointed members. From 1843, 2/3 of the growing number of council members were directly elected by eligible voters. This was the first example of representative government in Australia, and the Governor no longer presided over the council either. Change was truly afoot. In 1856, along came a big shift. With the passing of New South Wales's first Constitution Act the year before, the Legislative Assembly was now established as a second house to represent electorates across New South Wales. So began the bicameral Parliament of New South Wales and the Council's new role as the upper house. This was a landmark step for responsible government in this state. While most bills now originated in the Assembly, the Council served as a house of review that examined proposed laws and scrutinised government. In the decades to come, the Council extended this scrutiny role by establishing the very first parliamentary committees. These remain a vital part of the Council's work to this day. While the early Council generally used its power to amend or defeat legislation with moderation, conflict with governments was inevitable. And sometimes these tensions threatened the Council's very existence. In the 1920s and 30s, newspaper headlines rang out with government calls to abolish the Council. While these attempts to do away with the upper house were unsuccessful, debate in Parliament and the media about the Council's role did trigger crucial reforms. Meanwhile, the year 1931 signalled another important shift, with the Council welcoming its very first female members, Catherine Green and Ellen Webster. Catherine and Ellen were appointed members, but more change came in 1952 when Gertrude Melville became the first woman elected to the Council. In her inaugural speech, Gertrude said she hoped more women would join her, and more certainly did, with the way paved for future generations of women to serve as council members. Fast forward to 1961, and we have a final government attempt to abolish the Council. Put to the people via referendum, New South Wales voters resoundingly came out to support the Council's continued existence. The upper house was here to stay. Change was on the horizon though. In 1978, New South Wales voters returned to the polling booths for another referendum. This time they voted overwhelmingly to support a fully elected Legislative Council with the first direct elections of the whole House. It was a watershed moment. From the 1980s, with a fully representative council of now full-time members, the Council expanded its committee system, all the better for keeping government honest and for responding to calls for social reform. The committee's expansion included the new Standing Committee on Social Issues, whose first inquiry into adoption was groundbreaking and led to sweeping legislative and policy reform. This committee really set the standard for the Council's future inquiries, which would go on to propose reform and change across crucial social issues, from health and the environment to homelessness and juvenile justice. A directly elected council meant members increasingly reflected diverse community voices and pressing social issues, and these voices were strong. In fact, in 1988, a crossbench of minority parties held the balance of power for the very first time. And since then, no government has held a majority in the Legislative Council, a mark of a true House of Review that's required successive governments to negotiate with other parties to pass new laws. In recent decades, the Legislative Council has made bold strides in testing its powers of scrutiny, whether by compelling evidence before its inquiries or challenging a resistance to orders for government papers. It's these powers that preserve the Council's independence and ultimately strengthen its ability to keep the government of the day accountable. In fact, wielding these powers is why today's Council is often considered the most robust upper house in the country, perhaps even the Commonwealth. So what a journey it's been over the course of 200 years. The Council, that began as a small group of 5 appointed members with limited powers, is today transformed into a 42-member strong, dynamic and truly effective upper house, one that's essential to parliamentary democracy and responsible government right here in New South Wales. We have come so far. It's incredible to imagine how our democracy will continue to grow into the future, and we are all so excited to see where it leads.